This is going to be kind of a complicated build. Going off of the previous guide that I made, I decided I did want to make someone holding something like a blowtorch, like a real welder. Here we have the collection of bits that I think I'm going to use. There's a lot more bits that I'm probably, in fact, I can guarantee I'm not going to use all of these, but I like having options as I'm building. If things fit or don't fit, then I can move to my option B. Just to kind of explain what I have here, I have the main body. These are all pieces to go with the head. These are all pieces to go with the left arm. These are all pieces to go with the right arm. These are a few accessories. These are all pieces to go with the backpack. And then these are alternative bits for the left arm because I'm not quite sure which one's going to fit best. I think this one will work best, but these are options. And then these are all pieces that have cabling. I also have some green stuff cabling, which I can use, or I can make some more. But just to have some quick cable options, I pulled a bunch of different sizes and lengths to see which ones fit best. So this is the main arm I'm going to use, which I already dry fit, and it should work pretty well. He's going to be holding the torch off in the direction the knife is going. This hand has a thicker handle, which should make for an easier glue, and it will look a little more accurate. So here we're just going to cut this wrist. And first I'm going to cut this piece right below that little flange so that it's super helpful to keep this piece attached to the piece that I want, because it'll make that gluing surface much wider and allow this to be much more stable. That top bit is very cool, but it looks more like gas than fire. Whereas this piece looks like fire, which is what I want. Now, blowtorch would actually just be a straight flame, but I'm going to use this because it has a much more effective look for a miniature. And then this last piece, I'm actually going to keep these little nozzles. Might cut them later. For now, I'll keep those. There we go. Okay, there's the first piece. I'm going to try to do this in little groups because you want the plastic glue to settle just a little bit before you start hitting it with pressure, attaching it to other pieces. Trying to do this in little sub-assemblies so that we give each piece us at least a little bit of time to cure. Okay, there we go. This, it's only had a few minutes to cure, but that's enough to give it a little bit of strength. So here we have the head. Again, we're going to use this towel head, using it sort of upside down to make it more like a mask. I find a big concept in converting models is repurposing pieces that are meant for one thing to be another thing. And when you can find pieces to do that, which definitely takes some practice, you'll get a lot more satisfying and unique conversions. Things like using that hairpiece for flame, because hair and fire look pretty similar on a miniature. They don't look anything similar in real life, but when it comes to a scale model, they look pretty darn close. And then things like this, which is just a shoulder pad, but it has a unique look, and on a welder's mask, what I'm looking for is kind of like a visor. It's fun to do. Kind of look at all your bits in a new light when you don't think they have to be what they are. They could be anything you want them to be. So I ended up needing to dab some green stuff in to get his arm pointing further away so that his head has room to go. So one of the benefits of using plastic glue is that you can reposition stuff. One of the benefits of using green stuff is that you can reposition stuff. Both have their merits. Green stuff is more flexible, for sure. Plastic glue is more reliable bond in the long run. But trying to pose something like this, either one I think would have worked had I cut this arm a little wider angle earlier, which is what I ended up doing. Then the plastic glue would have been just fine. So we have his hand here, which is one of these mechanical enhanced hands. He's got a little nub right there, which is going to be a little lighter, right, like that. And I want this. I'm going to cut it. Actually, just going to cut this. The smallest amount of glue I can get. Okay, so our arm is attached here. I want it to be up there. Yes. Okay. So, there's our guy so far. Lighten that torch. Next I'm going to work on his backpack, which I'm going to speed through just a little bit because it's similar to the previous backpacks that I've worked on. This guy and all of these dwarves actually are really interesting because the armiger face mask really snuggles right up against their back and fits almost perfectly. There's just a little bit of green stuff in there to fill a small gap. And then this guy is getting a gas tank attached to the bottom of the backpack so that he has fuel for his blowtorch, which I'll add a hose connecting those later. I'm also going to add this little gauge to the side of the backpack so that it looks a little more high-tech. And with a little bit of green stuff, it kind of snaps right into place. And then the last bit is going to be adding the stowage from a Cadian backpack to the top. I kind of thought these guys, they travel a lot, they probably have lots of gear with them. He probably has little boxes and bags full of equipment and things they might need for salvage operations. And then we're going to add the bottom of the blowtorch, which is going to connect to the backpack. And this is from a Necron gun of some sort, which just looks kind of cool and is already tube shaped, so it'll connect well to the shaft of the blowtorch and provide a small place for the hose to connect. This is my big chopping blade. This is a razor blade. You can get a lot of pressure out of this, but sometimes it's just not enough. Get a big chopping blade. Like butter. Next up, we're going to add the hose, which I'm only going to show you the hose that actually worked, but this is the third hose that I tried for this model. At the beginning, I showed a selection of different hoses that were sort of easy to use and I could just cut and try right away. I tried the green stuff one first and it wasn't so pliable. Then I tried one that I thought would fit best because it was just about the right size, but it had weird angle, so it didn't quite work. And then I found this one, which I think is from a backpack, and it was small enough that I could bend it just slightly so that it would fit pretty much perfectly. It's slightly off if you look real close. The angles don't quite match up, but nobody looks that close at models. At least nobody looks that close when you're playing a game. So it works out just fine. And then we're going to finish up this model with a few details. We're going to add his grenades because everybody in this warband is going to have grenades. And then we're also going to add this shoulder pad to cover up kind of a bad shoulder that he has, where it's connected, there's a big gap. So I filled it a little bit and then added the shoulder pad. And then lastly, I wanted to put kind of like a eyepiece lens camera thing and attach it to the top of his helmet to cover up that sort of face mask from the Tau, which is very recognizable. And of course, we'll finish up the very end with a whole bunch of green stuff, gap filling. Again, this is probably 15 or 20 minutes worth of green stuff condensed down to 20 seconds of green stuffing. And with this guy being just about finished up, I hope you guys enjoyed this build. It was a lot of fun to make. These squat salvagers are pretty cool little guys. I'm having a lot of fun building them, and I hope you enjoy seeing how they're being made and how I go about my building process. If you do, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. I'm happy to hear from you, and if you have suggestions on what to do or things you want to see, feel free to let me know.